Welcome back to another episode of Talk Your Shit Sports Podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I'm here. I'm David Braid. I'm here with my main man, Patrick Valdez. Peace, say what up.
What's going on? What's going on?
So everyone, man, we got a special episode. Before we go ahead and get started with that, I want everyone to go over to our YouTube channel, our Talk Your Shit Sports Podcast YouTube channel, and subscribe. Tell your mother, tell your friend, tell your cousin to subscribe. Go follow us on Instagram at the Talk Your Shit Sports Podcast. Again, Talk Your Shit Sports Podcast on Instagram. It's lit over there. We got good content. Hit us up in the DMs. Let's really dive into some sports. Follow us on Facebook, Talk Your Ish Sports Podcast. You can also find all our episodes on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Again, you can find all our episodes on Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. We got a special one, ladies and gentlemen. We got a Boston Hoop legend tonight, and please pull up, tune in, grab your wine, and really tune into this journey because it's going to get lit. We have 6'1" guard out of East Boston Jet. 3 years started at Iowa State, drafted by the Detroit Pistons in the second round with the 60th overall pick. Fun fact before we move forward, he was the first player in the NBA to ever get a guaranteed contract with the 60th pick. So you know he had a good agent. Whoever he is, we're going to give y'all a shout out too. He got the great opportunity to play overseas, Australia, Germany, and also had some time in the D League with the Anaheim Arsenal. Ladies and gentlemen, get up off your feet. Give him a nice round of applause. And we want to welcome Boston Hoop legend, Will Blaylock.
Man, I appreciate y'all having me, man. I'll start it off by saying usually I don't do interviews or talk to people from Charlestown because of that. But I'm gonna give y'all the benefit of the doubt because I like y'all energy, man.
Oh man, super appreciate it, man.
Definitely appreciate it.
IP, let's lock in.
Listen, we're gonna lock in. We're gonna dive in. Well, man, describe where you grew up at and where and how your sports journey started.
I grew up in legendary Mission Hill Projects in the Roxbury area in Boston. I started out playing ball early on, about 8, 9 years old, if I can remember correctly. I grew up with a bunch of dudes that loved the game, was passionate about it. They were a little bit older than me, and they kind of was the reason why, I worked so hard and I pushed so hard because I wanted to mimic and do the stuff they did, like bring people's mothers, grandmothers out to the games at a young age and just have the whole neighborhood cheering for me. And that was the start of my passion and where the love for the game came. But also in my own household, I had my sister, Marsha Mookie Blaylock, who was a star in her own name at the Burke when I was growing up. And she actually got a scholarship to play at UMass Lowell. And she was a 4-year start out there. She broke a bunch of records with scoring, steals, and everything else. And she is who I wanted to be. She was like my first person I looked up to. And I just kind of wanted to follow in her footsteps because I seen her and her passion and her drive, and I wanted to do the same thing. I wanted to go to college, play in front of my mom, in front of, 15, 20,000 people. So and that's what I did. That's the stars that I shot for.
Super lit. I know you mentioned about a lot of folks who came before you and your sister. But a little bit deeper than that, like there were you could have played baseball, you could play football. Why was basketball it for you? What did the game do for you then and now?
Then it took me out of the reality that I was living in. Like, don't get me wrong, like I still look at Mission Hill as like the most lit place. I had a lot of friends. We was doing a lot of stuff, running around, playing tag, playing on Dunkables, having fun. But the reality was, it was a lot of people shooting up in the hallways, pissy elevators, and all type of crime going on at the same time. So basketball was kind of a way to escape that reality that you're living in poverty, so is your friend. Your friends, family members could be doing drugs or selling drugs, or, people that you look up to might be good on the basketball court, but they also, committing crimes, doing other stuff too. So basketball was my escape from that for that moment. Like, so if I'm playing ball for 4 or 5 hours, I'm not doing nothing stupid or that I shouldn't be doing. So I guess basketball helped me in that sense. Like, and don't get me wrong, I felt like I was fast, and I probably should have played football or whatever, but that just wasn't a passion because the neighborhood was just so basketball oriented. It was hard to, try another sport. It was just, once you wanted to be good at basketball, that's all you ate, slept, and shit basketball. So
Right.
football, don't get me wrong, we had guys that played football, but it wasn't the same like love and passion as basketball.
Yeah, man, that's P. I know we can relate to that because we're on the Lenox Street. Like we had Jim Rice Field right across the street. So I mean, like for us, it was baseball and basketball and football. It was just on the street. So
and like Will said, like for those 4 hours that we wasn't in the projects, we was outside the project, whether it was baseball tournaments, football, whatever. Like that was our little getaway from our reality. So we could definitely relate to that. But listen, I've watched you dominate. I think I've seen you start. I watched you dominate. I think I was like 16. No, probably 16, 15. I remember when you had the long braids, just cooking cats. I'm like, damn. But when did you realize that you was a head and shoulders above the competition, and that that locally you was making a name for yourself, and you knew that you can make it out of Mission Hill playing basketball?
It's a good question. I would say around like 16, I had the opportunity all in one summer to I had played against Chris Paul and Kyle Lowry, a bunch of other dudes that was kind of around my age at AAU. Out in Detroit for AAU, I played with BABC. And that same summer, I felt like I got the best of all those dudes in my class on a national level, and we actually won the nationals that year. So when I came back home, I had an older guy from my neighborhood named Jamal Galloway. He ended up being our BNBL coach. I remember him knocking on my door and asking me to play in a men's tournament. And that's when Mike Biv had his, I want to say it could have been like his first annual tournament. So I was probably like 15, 16 then. And it was like $20,000. It was down before they named the park after him. It was just Derby Park.
Derby Park, yep, right across the street.
And I played it, and I played like 3 or 4 games that weekend. But I had to use my cousin Satch's name, who's like a legend in my neighborhood too, because they didn't want to mess up my eligibility because I was still an amateur, but playing for money at that time as I was still in high school. And I felt like I already had no fear on the court because of all the stuff that transpired before that tournament. But when I came back and I was able to play against other people my age, I felt like after that, I felt like I was untouchable. So that's where I feel like that summer, my confidence grew to the point where I felt like nobody could fuck with me. So I just took it from there.
Was that your sophomore year?
My sophomore year.
Okay.
Yeah.
Will. So let's dive into that, man. Like, I think we covered a lot, but I don't think that people know what was your game like? Like, break it down for us. Let us know like how people try to defend you. Like how'd you win about getting your buckets? Like, what was your game like?
I was more of a penetrator, but I was athletic. So I always look at it like, even though I hate the comparison to Westbrook because I just don't really, I'm not a fan of him, but I was more like how he played, like balls to the wall, just getting in the lane and just being explosive, trying to finish above the rim. But also I was, just learning the mission. You learn how to play the right way, meaning if somebody's open and you got 2 people on, you pass the ball. You know what I'm saying? So I was always taught that by coaches that still to this day coach the game that I love. John Jackson, Chuck Davis, Stan, Jody, all of them that I played with growing up ever since I was 8, 9 years old, they always said, make the right pass, make the easy play. You don't have to be super fancy every time. They used to always say, don't make the home run play, make the right play. So I was always unselfish. So that was part of my game, breaking people down with handle, but also either finishing above the rim or finding an open man. And I just manipulated that to the millionth degree, so to speak.
Super lit, super lit. So I know you said like this was your sophomore year after that tournament. So like just describe to people, you know, what your East Boston experience was like and what that, you know, East Boston Charlestown rivalry was like.
It was lit, man. I had a great time at Eastie, man. I had the opportunity to play with a legend, or play for a legend rather, Mike Rubin. He's retired now, but he was just so much of he was like the big homie, the uncle, and the head coach, but also the assistant principal. And me and him had a great relationship. I just wish I had the opportunity to win a state title for him. Unfortunately, we used to just always fall short to them boys, man. The Charlestown dudes was that team from top to bottom. Every year I played at Eastie was so good. Like,
who'd you play against?
At that time they had Tony Chapman at the one, who was probably the best point guard in the state. Rashid Al-Khalim played the two. They had our man that played with us from my neighborhood, God rest his soul, El Ray Taylor, the horse. Corey Boston.
They had a squad, bro. They had a boat.
Yeah.
They had a boat.
Big Sticks, Daryl Lodge.
Yeah.
They had Andrew Angus, the soccer man.
He was fast. He was fast on the court.
He was tough though. They had Derek Coleman. Like, and it's crazy because when you think about how good Derek Coleman is, Derek Coleman had to come off the bench on that team, but Derek Coleman he'd be a star anywhere else.
Right.
Like, so, and then like Tony and all of them they was on that team too. Tony, Ridley, Rady, like they were all young though. But that team from top to bottom was stacked. So I don't never feel bad about losing to them, even though it would have been so much better had I beat them. But that rivalry was so lit all the time that
gyms were packed.
You could feel the energy as soon as I got on the orange line, like and somebody that went to Charlestown got on the train with me. I just put my headphones on and like listen to my CD player because I didn't even want to look their way because I knew it was on.
Yeah.
You know, like that rivalry was second to none in my book as far as in high school.
That's
Crazy.
Ill. You used to get on the orange line with your blue and yellow jacket?
Nah, I never really wore that. That was more like a football thing. Like I'm from Michigan, I like to get fly. Like I have my little leather Averex on or somewhere. Like,
the Averex.
I wasn't wearing no blue and yellow jacket like that.
Lit.
Nah, like I always, and I spoke to Tony about this a couple weeks ago. That rivalry, because he went to Charlestown and I went to Eastie, and we both from Michigan.
How was that?
When everyone came to the game, you had especially I always remember the game at Charlestown. When you from Mission, you support like crazy. So everybody and their mother came to that game. You had to pick a side, even though me and him from the same neighborhood. So if you fuck with me, you sitting on the Eastie side.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, people come to root for him too, and they on the Charlestown side. Like it was, but we all gonna leave, win, lose, or draw, and go back to the same neighborhood. You know, talk shit, do whatever. But people had to pick sides for the game.
That's lit.
Yeah, that
Like,
was
that's
crazy. I mean, because I remember that game. Because I think, like I said, I think it was my freshman year. Because me and Tony was the same year, so it was either my freshman year or my sophomore year. That was the first time I seen you play, and I'm seeing you at the layup line. I'm like, look at this cat with the long braids, just looking real smooth. I'm like, who the hell is this guy? And then one of my guys was telling me, he was sitting right next to me. He's like, yo, that's Will Blaylock. I'm like, who the fuck is – because I grew up playing baseball. So I'm like, who the fuck's Will Blaylock? He's like, you want to learn today. Son, that game you went off. I mean, I think that game we went into overtime.
Yeah, we lost by 2, I think, if I remember right. At the buzzer, my man Dave Palacio had missed a shot. That would have won us. That would have beat. We'd end up beating them by 1 had he made that shot. We ended up losing them. But from start to finish, that game was box office. It was like packed. Like if you didn't get there early, you couldn't get a seat. You know what I'm saying? Like kids these days can't even fathom that. They even playing at the highest level with no fans at the gym. Like that Eastie versus Charlestown, if that game started at 5:30 and you got there at 5:20, you was too late. And you got to end up. It was
right.
Them days was legendary.
Yeah, that game was definitely ridiculous. It was definitely ridiculous.
So you balled out. Had a good career at East Boston. Going into your senior year, after that season, walk us through the recruiting process. Who was involved, who was helping you, and what schools, besides Iowa State, did you consider?
Well, I was getting offers since my sophomore year, so I would say my biggest offers at that time was Memphis, UConn, UCLA, and Pitt. Okay. And at that time, I want to say shading towards UConn because I took like a visit up there. I had like a good rapport with like all the assistants and the head coach. At the time, Jim Calhoun was there. But once I sat down in the office with him going into that summer, they had a guy from New York there named Talik Brown. He was going into his senior year, which would have been my freshman year. And he kind of looked at me in my eyes and he was like, man, you could be the future here. But honestly, this guy was a McDonald's All-American. He been my pit bull for the last 3 years. He's going to be a senior. Y'all could play together, but he's definitely going to get the starting nod no matter what you do, no matter how you feel like you outplay them, day in and day out in practice. And I had to –
Calhoun's telling you this?
Calhoun's telling me. So as a 17, 18-year-old, I don't want to hear that. Like, I'm trying to come somewhere and play right away. But as, I'm 37 now, I can respect it, and I understood where he was coming from because he was being blatantly honest with me the whole time. He didn't, sugarcoat it, nothing. And so that kind of took UConn off the board for me. But in hindsight, I always still wish I probably just went there anyway. Because he was going to be a senior, it would have been my show my sophomore, junior, senior year. And I would have been playing with all, top 10, top 20 picks year in and year out.
Super lit. Oh, man, that's dope. So once you decide, how did you decide on Iowa State and what was that transition like once you got there?
I decided on them when I was at Notre Dame Prep in Fitchburg. I was out in Buffalo. It was cold as hell, too. We had played a tournament, and at the time, at Iowa State, the coach was Larry Estacey. He had, one of those fear of flying things. So he had drove from Iowa in a what the hell you call those things? He had, a driver. He had, a
chauffeur, a limo?
Yeah,
Winnebago. One of those. Okay.
Yeah, one of those, but like a rich man Winnebago.
Okay.
With his own driver. So he had drove from Iowa to Buffalo to watch me play in this tournament, and I was cooking in the tournament. He had offered me right on the spot, and he kind of sat down with me. We watched this video with all the guys that played there before me, like Jamal Tinsley, who played for the Pacers. And I felt like after I felt real comfortable with them, and I was just like, you know what? They kind of been recruiting me this whole year. They real consistent. They been calling every day. He showed me all this video of plans that he had for me for the future. He was gonna put the ball in my hand right away my freshman year. It was kind of like a no-brainer after that for me. But the thing that happened, which is crazy that a lot of people don't know, the day I signed my letter of intent saying that I was going there, he came on ESPN that same day saying he's an alcoholic, he got a problem, he's going to take a leave of absence from coaching altogether. And I'm like, damn.
Wow.
But the good thing is the fourth assistant at the time, who ended up being my coach the 3 years I was there, named Wayne Morgan, I had the utmost respect for him as a man. And at the time, even during the recruiting process, he was one of them people that was old school. He's from Brooklyn, and he just kept it 100 with me. And he was just like, man, when you come here Everything is gonna be your show. You know, we're gonna do everything in our power to make you stronger, better every single year. We're gonna get guys in here that can, you know, play on your level, run with you. We're gonna have a fun offense, this and that. So once he filled me up with that, and then they named him the head coach, it was kind of a no-brainer for me. So I had told all the other schools I was all set.
Put that battery on your back and said, "Go ahead, young boy."
Right. This is your show, and
Right.
he sure did put that ball in your hand, because against a powerhouse team, Kansas, because Kansas was loaded with a whole bunch of first rounders as well.
Right.
You know, running that whole conference, and then you had an incredible game. Because I looked this stat up. I'm like, hold on, Will had 11 assists, but he had no turnovers in 33 minutes. Tell me about that game, and what was your mindset at?
That was my freshman year. That might have been one of the best games, not point wise, but I felt like they came in, they were cocky as hell too. They came into Ames, which was a home game for us, but they were top 5 team in the country.
Right.
And they had, like you said, they had nothing but studs on the team. I want to say they first 5 and they 2 people that came off the bench, all McDonald's All-Americans. And then I feel like my assistant coaches that whole week just was kind of on my back, riding me in practice. Like, you can't be so sloppy, try to be so fancy with the ball, because Aaron Miles, when he run up on you with that Jayhawk jersey, he just going to take the ball. Like, so they already kind of like put a battery on my back in practice.
Right.
So I couldn't wait for that game. I was just like, I'm tired of hearing about these It's like, so when they came in, I'll never forget. This is my first time in college. You know, I'm a freshman. Experienced the whole like ESPN game day thing. Like it was a big day. And people were in like tents. It was freezing in Iowa. I'm talking about like at Ames, there's no hills. So it's all flat land, all like cornfields. So when it's cold and the wind blow, like with no, you know, nothing to like block it. So
you can feel it.
Feeling it.
You have ice in your nose.
That's crazy.
People was out there camping out just to get tickets to the game. So when we got there, right, like, so say the game's at 7:30 on ESPN. People were out there the night before just to get the tickets to the game. The game sold out in like 20 minutes. So 15,500 tickets got sold in like 20 minutes.
Crazy.
And so that game, when you first walk out there, like we got to take the floor a couple hours to warm up, stretch, all that. It was probably already like 10,000 people at the game, like to watch you stretch. It was like one of them atmospheres where like you couldn't even write a script about it. And once the jump ball, you can't hear nothing.
Wow.
You can't hear coaches. We used to have signs like, so when they wanted my attention to like wave something so I look, so they'll get my attention, because it's so loud you can't hear nothing.
Right. Oh man, that's super dope, man. I think the people want to hear a little bit more, Will. Besides that Kansas game, throughout your career, what other notable games like stand out to you that people should know about?
I would say my junior year at Texas. Texas was ranked in the top 10 that year too. They had like Daniel Gibson that ended up playing with LeBron in Cleveland. They had PJ Tucker that plays on the Rockets now. They had LaMarcus Aldridge that plays on the Spurs now.
They were loaded. Wow.
They had a bunch of other guys that kind of had like a cup of coffee in the league, but they just didn't stick. So they had a good team. And that game ended up going to overtime. But my junior year, if you look at my team, we were so young. Aside from me and the other lead guard, Kurt Stinson, we had nothing but freshmen and sophomores, and they just wasn't ready, honestly, for the Big 12. Like, no disrespect to none of those guys. They were young, but they were kind of like frail. Like, so they were 6'8", 6'9", 190 pounds.
Talk
like,
your shit. Talk your shit.
Playing in the Big 12 where, like, you ain't going to get a foul from getting bumped. You know
right.
what I'm saying? You're not going to get those calls with, like, 20,000 people yelling, and it's a 50-50 ball with you and the other player. They going to get the nod over you. Like, it's just a different league, a different world they just wasn't ready for. coming straight out of high school. And that game, though, I vividly remember I just felt like I was like in a zone. I finished with probably 16, 17. I had 10 assists and I had 9. I missed a triple-double by a rebound. But I felt like we were struggling on the road as a team in the Big 12 that year because we coming from losing a bunch of games. We ended up playing Kansas and then we played Texas back-to-back. We won our first game against Kansas out there in Lawrence, Kansas. And then we went to Tech. We flew right out to Texas the very next day, played them. And I finished with I missed a triple-double by a rebound. But I just remember how quiet the gym was every time I made a pass or every time I scored. It just was a legendary game for me that stands out in my mind.
Super lit.
But like I said, just going through your stats, I mean, I see the improvement. So what fueled your improvement from freshman years to sophomore year to your junior year?
I would say just confidence, overall in-game experience, and also every year I managed to get a lot stronger in the weight room. Between getting stronger in the weight room and having the in-game experience I had by playing, I was playing 30 minutes a game since my freshman year. Right. So just having that in-game experience, fucking up and learning from it all year after year, and having the confidence from my coaches instilling on me man, you got to get more shots, you got to do this, you got to do that. You only took 3 shots and it's we only got 20 minutes left to win this game, you got to take it over or we're gonna get blown out. Just putting the battery in my back and me working on my game, I would say that was the reason why I improved every year, year in and year out.
Dope. So your dream is to go pro. So you're playing 30 minutes a game since freshman year. You're going up against, some real live NBA talent in the Big 12 week in and week out. Walk us through your mindset regarding entering the draft and leaving school early your junior year. Because obviously we know you're in college, man. You're a superstar on campus, so you're living your best life out there. But what was the mindset like you choosing to leave early into the draft?
Ultimately, it came down to us having a tough year my junior year. We didn't make the tournament. We made the tournament my sophomore year. My junior year was a down year, and they fired my coach. Once they fired my coach, they brought in a guy from Northern Iowa, which is a rival school. Actually, his son's playing in the league now, Doug McDermott.
Oh.
So Doug McDermott, I'll give y'all a quick story. So Doug McDermott, he's an Iowa guy. So his son grew up where my school is at is Ames, Iowa. Doug McDermott and Harrison Barnes that plays for the Kings.
Yeah.
They used to come to the games. They were ball boys. They was little kids then. But when I want to say they was in middle school. So by my sophomore, junior year, they were in high school. So they went to Ames High when I was at Iowa State. Fast forward, my coach gets fired. Soon as my junior year was over, we didn't make the tournament. They fired him. They try to say all this stuff about he had some scandal that had to do with us getting junior college players from the California area. In exchange, we would play, a non-conference scheduled team that we wasn't supposed to play for money and all sort of stuff. But anyway, between him leaving and them bringing in Doug McDermott Sr., when I sat down with him, we just wasn't on the same page as far as me coming in for my senior year, being a lead guard, and him, with the offense, he was going to make it almost like a Princeton offense after we've been running, doing fast break, kind of how, how fast-paced the NBA is now. That's how we played, and he wanted to change that, having me, walk the ball up court, give the ball to the big man, run a motion offense. And I just didn't want to do that with a team where I didn't know if the guys that we recruited was even going to come once my coach got fired. So it would have been a new team, a new system, all with my last year to like prove to the NBA that I could play. So I didn't want to risk that. So I went hardship and I had to get out of there.
Wow. Talk
Wow.
your shit, Will. That's ill. That's dope. Man, ladies and gentlemen, you are getting behind exclusive content right now. The exclusive story from the man himself, Will Blaylock. Man, that is super lit, man. So you get drafted in the second round with the 60th pick by the Detroit Pistons. Just look like let's lock in and like just describe that experience for us. What was it like, competing for playing time, learning from all the vets, all the championship vets that were on that team, just NBA life, traveling from city to city, the business, learning the business of basketball, and just let us know like what was your first welcome to the NBA moment.
I'll start off with my welcome to the NBA moment. So after playing, 30, 32 minutes a game for 3 years, I'm walking around the campus. I'm kind of like the guy out there. So you feel like you're the cream of the crop. Once you get drafted last, it's like it was a big thing. Don't get me wrong. Like it was for a guy 6'1", I think there were probably maybe 10,000 people at my position alone in the draft that year for the 60 picks. So that alone was big. But once I got there, it was kind of like the biggest slice of humble pie you ever have because Joe Dumars sat us all down and kind of told everybody, like, look, we're a winning pedigree. We got nothing but veterans. We got a couple young boys that got to learn, but, they're going to take their lumps. They're going to play a little bit, but, I'm going to just fully put it on the shoulders of my veterans. And he was kind of pointing at like Chauncey Billups and Rasheed Wallace, Rip Hamilton, Tayshaun Prince at the time because that was the core of the team. And he was just like, y'all going to lead. Y'all going to play the bulk of the minutes, win, lose, or draw. And that's kind of like that was my welcome to the team without even, getting to like know everybody's name or them know my name and us getting out there for practice for 2 days. None of that. That was kind of like the welcome. So that was already like the biggest slice of humble pie ever. Now, me working hard and being in like a real good relationship and having a good rapport with like everyone was the only reason why I was able to like, kind of crack that roster spot and, get the minutes I did play because at the time they had like a team meeting with like Rip, Tayshaun Prince and Chauncey and all the coaching staff. And they went to Flip Saunders right before we played against the New Jersey Nets when Jason Kidd was there. And they had told him, Will know all the plays. Will ain't never late. Will been working hard. And Chauncey went to him and said, when I come out in the first quarter, he should be the first one to sub in for me. And that was the only reason why I like got the minutes that I did play because I got the trust from them and they see me day in and day out, in the gym working on my game.
Right.
So I feel like that was dope. And also like just getting to travel, getting to know people on like a more personal level. I knew everybody's family. You know what I'm saying? Like it was just the atmosphere was so like surreal. Like you go from in college to where like, like we had our own plane at Iowa State, but it wasn't the same as that plane in Detroit. You know what I'm saying? Like you get on that plane in Iowa, you might have like a boxed lunch with like a burger and some cold fries and like a soda or Gatorade. But that plane in Detroit, they give you your per diem money and an envelope. They got shrimp, lobster,
wow,
Alfredo, whatever you're into before you even like sit in your seat. It wasn't no like putting no seatbelt on and turning your phones off. Like you got your laptops on, your phones out. Like it was none of that like, like college kid stuff. It was just like it was a whole nother level, whole nother business, whole nother just it was surreal, man. It was dope. And then even like like once you got to whatever city you was flying to, you didn't have to like get your own bag. You never had to bring your own like basketball shoes to the gym. Somebody did that for you. Even like so for instance, most times we would go out. We would go like say we fly to New York. We would fly to New York, Flip Saunders would stand up and be like, guys, shoot around's at 10, bus gonna leave at 9:45, don't be late, yada yada. You don't never have to bring your luggage on the bottom of the bag to your room. It'll just meet you in your room. You just get right in the limo or right in the cab and go wherever you was going in New York, you know, for the night, for the evening, whatever. And then you just check in kind of later. Like you already got the key to your room. You know where everybody else's room was at. Like it was just more professional and it was just lit. It was a whole nother situation that I had to prepare myself for because I just never been in that situation before. And I was around all older guys, so I had no room for like error or do nothing stupid. You know what I'm saying? Because they'll put you in your place too. Like they were older and they wasn't trying to have no young nigga coming in on some, yeah, you just gonna get in trouble, be late, do this, do that. Like they was policing that in the locker room. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I appreciate the time that I had and the opportunity to be around guys like Chauncey Billups, Lindsey Hunter, because they taught me how to be a professional and they taught me how to be like a grown man all at the same time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Wow. Yo, Will, man, I don't know. I don't think you understand what you just did for the people, man. People, I just felt like I was on that plane with y'all. I felt like I was in the locker room with y'all. I felt like I was sitting right next to you, listening to Flip Saunders. You know what I mean? That's how I felt, man. But yeah, thank you so much for really giving us the insight, man. But I think one more thing before we move on to Pete's question. What was the draft day experience like for you and your family?
Draft day was lit. My people's admission, my man Chill Will Dickinson had rented out the Hard Rock Cafe down in like the financial district.
Yeah.
And so we rented that out, and my whole crew, me, Tony Lee, Steve Haley, Sean Davis, Booby, another Charlestown guy, my man Booby, though I love him to death.
Sounds like a winner.
Yeah. Yep. we all got together that day. We all got haircuts. I had actually got this like a custom made suit from these people that had that I had met during like the draft process, during like the, you know, working out and all that. So I was prepared. I already had in my mind whether I was gonna be, you know, a first round pick or, you know, what I finished with was last. I didn't plan on going to New York for the draft and all that. I wanted to open that up with family and with people that I know, like, love me. Right. So I had pretty much my whole neighborhood and, like, you know, my family, close family, everybody come to the Hard Rock, have drinks with me, kick it, have food, you know what I'm saying, and just enjoy that whole process. And just to hear my name get called, it was kind of like a surreal moment because I done been through so much adversity in life with people counting me out. You know what I'm saying? Like, it brought everything to the forefront. Like, that same kid that they was telling me I was too small. I had dropped out of high school, you know, never gonna make it in life, this and that. That same kid happened to be like the 60th pick. Like, it was a surreal, it was a dope moment that I was glad I was able to share with the people that I love and the people that was in my corner. And still to this day, even though I don't play ball no more on a professional level, the same people that I rock with today strong was the same people that was at that party. So it was just it was a dope event.
No, that's dope. I mean, and what you did for the city, man, it's like you planted that seed and gave a kid from the inner city, from everywhere, that, yo, it don't matter what adversity or anything that you go through in life, like, you put your mind to, you can make it, though. Because I remember that draft day. I'm like, yo, that shit's crazy. Like, that's dope, because it's like, this is a person that I seen in real life bust ass. I seen him in ESPN in the top 10, you know, with the behind the back and finish with the layup, now making it to the NBA. And it was super dope. And like I said, you planted that seed, because you see Shabazz made it to the NBA. He's from your tree. You know what I mean? So that's pretty dope. That's pretty dope.
Right.
But I just want to jump into my next question. So 2018 comes and your life change. Can you tell the people what happened?
Well, in 2008, you mean?
2008, yeah, yep.
Yeah. So I'll give you the whole story. So I'm a free agent. Kevin Durant and Jeff Green get drafted to Seattle. At that time, I'm in Vegas. I'm playing with J.R. Smith and them as a free agent for the Denver Nuggets at the time. I'm playing really well. I played like all five games out there for Vegas. And when Seattle called my agent saying that they had interest, they was in the summer league out in Utah. So I had to fly from Vegas to Utah. I didn't really get no practice time with them, but I started boom right away with Kevin Durant and them. They took like a strong liking to me after summer league, but the one thing that I remembered when I was playing with Denver, I went to the basket and a big boy that played for UCLA, I'll never forget him either, Jelani McCoy, went for a block on me and he hit me in the back of my neck, like, or the side of my neck, real hard. And I remember phone on the phone and everything. And they had asked me after the game, like, hey, Will, did you want ice? You know, you want to check your neck out? And I was like, no, I'm all set. I was on my fake tough man shit at that time. So,
Right.
And so fast forward, I interviewed with like Sam Presti, who was a GM of Seattle, who's actually a Massachusetts guy. I want to say he's from like Methuen somewhere or somewhere like that. He's from this area. So me and him have like a good rapport. We're talking back and forth. He's calling my agent saying like, hey, we want to sign him. So I had to fly out there for like, I was going to sign with them. I had to do like I had to check in with like their doctors. And then I had like one radio interview, but I had like it was a guaranteed 1 year deal to play with Durant and them their rookie year. So I'm at Logan and I'm talking to my man, Sean Davis, my brother. And I had a iced tea in between my legs. So the ladies on the PA like, hey, first class passengers, welcome to board now, yada, yada. So I'm telling him like, hey, I'm getting ready to board. I'm going to call you when I land. And he's trying to tell me something about, I want to say at the time, like social media. But I'm like, man, I'm getting ready to board this flight to Seattle. I ain't think about that right now. But
I'll let you, bro. I'll let you.
As I'm going to retrieve the iced tea, I could feel it with my fingertips, but I felt like my left arm wouldn't let me retrieve it. Like it's almost like it went to sleep in my lap. Like I couldn't move it, couldn't feel it, nothing. So I remember grabbing it with my right hand and putting it in my lap, and it would just kind of like dangle there, and I still couldn't feel it. So I'm like, at the time, I'm like, this can't even be life right now. Like I gotta get on this flight. These people are expecting me to be there. The GM is picking me up from the airport, not like a player personnel guy or some scout. Like the GM is picking me up from the airport. I gotta get on this flight. And I remember trying to get up. And once I got up, I fell right back in the chair because my left leg was the same as my arm. Like I had no feeling in it at all. So the one thing I do remember, it was a lady right next to me on the left side of me. And she ran to get help because she didn't know what was going on. And when they came back, they asked me all these questions. And I'm trying my best to articulate my words to them. But at the time, I might have been slurring them because of the stroke. But at the time, I didn't know what was going on.
Right. Wow.
So needless to say, I never made that flight. I got in the ambulance. They rushed me to BMC. They did all these CAT scans on my brains and MRIs and anything you could think of. And then when I came back to, I felt like I was normal again. I felt like consciousness and my left side went back normal. My speech went back normal. About, I would say, like an hour after that. All my family's there. I got all these missed calls from my agent, from the teams, all this stuff. And a neurologist came in and told me, like, that he spoke to my mom outside the room. He got bad news. I'll never be able to play basketball again. He heard I was a professional sports player, but I suffered a mild stroke. And at that time, 23, 24 years old, I'm like, I don't even know what the hell a stroke is. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I heard of like older people getting it, but I still don't know like what's the cause and effects of it, nothing. So after he broke it down to me and he was saying that I had a blood clot right next to my carotid artery in my neck, I automatically thought right back to that same play in Vegas, like, damn, when old boy hit me in my neck, that probably could have been it. And I never got it checked on.
Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. So needless to say, that was the beginning of the end of my NBA career, so to speak, because even when I came back, let's say like a year from that, and I was healthy, I never really got like those same opportunities to showcase myself and actually have an opportunity to make my way back in the NBA because of that injury.
So you have the mild stroke. That adversity, I'm pretty sure is probably like the biggest thing, or like one of the biggest things that you've ever faced. Describe to people like what was your mindset during the time when you were off, trying to fight your way back, trying to get back in shape, and like just like describe to us what your overseas experience was like once you got that first opportunity, that first call.
It was hard, man. My mindset, I was real down because, like I said, basketball was so big to me all those years, and I put so much blood, sweat, and tears into making it and to making my family and my neighborhood proud. And I felt like at the time I had so much built up anger around that time because after it happened, like clearly I didn't know what happened. I felt like I kept blaming myself, going back and forth. Why didn't I get it checked on at the time? I could have kind of de-escalated that situation. And I didn't know if I was ever going to get that same opportunity to get an invite to a camp or a training camp or any of that shit. And they put me on a blood thinner called Coumadin, where I couldn't eat nothing, no vegetable, like no spinach, no broccoli, nothing green, because it would do like the reverse effect for the meds. Whatever's inside, like the vegetables, wouldn't let the meds thin my blood to get rid of the blood clot in my neck. And I had to go to BMC every other day to get my blood checked. So I did that for probably like 7-8 months straight, and I wasn't able to work out at all. Like I couldn't. They told me like if I fell down some stairs, I would have to go to the hospital emergency room because I can get internal bleeding, and I could have passed from that because the medicine they had me on. So I couldn't work out. There wasn't no shooting. There wasn't no lifting weights. There wasn't no getting on a treadmill. I couldn't do none of that. That 7-8 months that I was on that medicine. So I was super out of shape. But my agent just he was a wizard with it. Guy out of Chicago named Mark Bartelstein. He's one of the best agents probably in the world. But he kind of resurrected my career by giving me an opportunity to play out in Germany, even though I was out of shape. So I had like a Skype interview, if y'all remember Skype back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, so I'm Skype interviewing a guy in Germany. He's like the head coach of a team that they in the number one division over there, but they were struggling to make the playoffs. He was struggling to keep his job, and he wanted a savvy point guard that wasn't older, but been around for a little bit. And this was like my second, third year out of school. And I had to keep it 100 with him and tell him, like, man, I haven't picked up a ball in 8 or 9 months. You ain't going to be able to expect me to just be out there and go crazy in the EuroLeague right away. It ain't going to work overnight. And at the time, they already kind of had a little point guard who had just came out of college, young boy named Drew Neitzel that played at Michigan State. And they kind of wanted me to take my time for the first couple months, get in shape, and then, you know what I'm saying, somewhere down the line, when it starts getting serious towards playoff time, to take the bulk of the minutes basically and turn it up a little bit. So I mean, that as much as I could, that's what I did. Once I got out there, the money was good, the food was good, so I was just like, man, I'm just gonna deal with it. I had to learn how to drive stick out there because they don't have no
Driving on the side of the road.
Yeah, they didn't have no automatic cars. There was no speed limit on the highway out there. Like it was a dope experience for my first time, so to speak, in another country. And also just taking my time to get in shape without trying to like roll an ankle because I'm kind of bigger now. Like, but it was a dope experience, and I had the opportunity to play with some real stand-up dudes that was Americans on that team, and I had a great time out there. It was an amazing time.
How long was you out there for?
I was out there I got there around, like, if I can remember, it was so long ago now. But I got there, they were already a month into the season. So season started around like September, October. I probably got there like the end of October, early November. Mm-hmm. And I stayed there till like May of that next year. And we ended up losing the playoffs. But I was out there probably like 7-8 months, I would say, or close to it. But it was lit, though, because where I was at in Germany, it was called Quackenbrück. I was 2 hours a drive away from Amsterdam, which I went there for New Year's, and that was crazy.
Yo.
That's a whole nother story for a whole
Yo, I gotta get there. I gotta get there.
We gotta get there.
It was crazy out there too.
Oh man. So looking back at your journey and everything that the highs and lows, would you do something different during that whole journey? Like, would you change something?
I would actually, and I was talking to T. Lee about this the other day. I actually had a deal right before I had that stroke. I had a deal in place for a partial guaranteed contract to play for George Karl when he was the head coach in Denver. The only reason why I didn't take it is because I was already in a situation where, like, Chauncey got the bulk of the minutes in Detroit. I wanted to kind of be my own man and kind of play more minutes and have more of a role on this next team that I was going to be on. And at the time, Denver had Andre Miller and little Earl Boykins, who was nasty. But they also had signed the third point guard, dude named Anthony Carter, who was their third. He was like their backup to the backup. Right. But that's the only reason why I didn't take that opportunity at that time, because I felt like, you know what, I could do something else better. So in hindsight, had I took that, I probably would have spent more time in the league, like just being somebody's backup or one injury away from being somebody, playing more minutes. So if I could do it all over, I probably would have definitely took that deal at that time. Had I knew right around the corner, that was going to happen.
Right. And don't get it twisted, ladies and gentlemen. Just because you hear, our guest tell him, he didn't want to go to a team where like there's already 3 guards, man. When you're in the log jamming, like, you got talent, man, like you just like you want to put yourself in the right position, and like right. Him not taking his position does not. Well, all the hoopers out there to know, like, just because you got 1 or 2 people in front of me does not mean you're a bum. I mean, if you make it to the NBA, these cats are dogs. Like, these are all dogs, ready to. I mean, some people on different levels, but they can hoop. So don't come on here like you hit. Like if you hear Will, like if you jump on the episode and you only hear Will say that, oh, he didn't want to go to Denver. The dude was a dog. He got the tape to back it up. He got the numbers. He's legit. He's proven. So we're gonna give him all the respect tonight, man. So I mean, Will, with all that, your draft experience, going to Iowa State, 30 minutes a game, coming to the league, first guaranteed contract at the 60th position, at the 60th pick, playing on a championship pedigree team with the likes of Rip Hamilton, Chauncey, Al Sanders, like just not Al Sanders, Flip Sanders, tell us what is it throughout your hoop journey that you want to be remembered as, and like what do you want your legacy to be?
On the basketball level, I always say I always was the most unselfish point guard that anybody ever played with. I never had from 13 on the BNBL all the way to Australia on the other side of the world. I never had a teammate be upset at the way I played the point guard position. I was going to make sure I did my thing, but I was going to make sure everybody ate. If you were a shooter, I was going to find you. If you was a big man, I was going to spoon feed you for layups and dunks. You know what I'm saying? If you was a slasher, I'm going to in and out cross somebody and find you going back door for a dunk or a layup. I always pride myself on making the right play, and I always wanted my legacy to be when people think about me and I play with them, that they always going to be like, man, he's the best, one of the best point guards I ever played with, if not the best. Like, so I always pride myself on that more than anything else. I was always a good teammate. I was gonna be there for you on and off the court, and just being the most unselfish point guard that most people got a chance to play with, or on the receiving end, you knew exactly how I was coming when I came.
Talk that shit, young
That
boy.
that
Talk
smoke.
that shit. Oh man, Will. I mean, this is the moment. You know, we built up to, man. You know, I think all the people are really waiting to hear this, and this is what it is, man. You know, right now we're gonna let you talk your shit. So, for everyone that's hooped against you, for all the people who are in your group chats today talking about they will, do this and that, like to a young Blaylock, who you want to talk some shit to?
I need to talk to a whole bunch of people. I need to start off. I need to start off with my
name them one by one. Go ahead.
With my little brother Tony Lee.
Okay.
First and foremost,
this is on wax. It's
on wax, right? But
I gotta talk to my little brother Shabazz Napier.
Okay.
I gotta talk to his whole crew: Charlie, Davon, Collins. I need to talk to all of them. Radio. I know he gonna be listening to this. I need to talk to him. Who else?
So you out here giving buckets to Shabazz, Rollins,
and
Radio.
we're talking about prime for prime. We're talking about Will with the braids.
Right, yeah, thank you. Will with the braids in his prime, because that's always the argument. Me, when I was on my explosive, as athletic as I would say like my junior or senior year in high school, I want to put that kid right there against them any day of the week.
Oh.
Anybody and everybody I name between my junior, senior year in high school to like the year I left college, my junior year, which was, I would say that would be my prime. I would put that player against any of them in their prime and when they was doing their thing.
So you're basically saying that you're the best hooper that came out of Mission. Is that what I'm hearing?
I honestly.
Come on, Will. Don't stutter. Don't even wait on that. You know what you're supposed to say, Will. Stop bullshitting.
We got too many legendary people from my neighborhood, and with my own eyes, just seeing the stuff that Wayne Turner was doing at a high school level. So to put it in perspective, I'll never forget John Jackson giving me tickets to watch Wayne play in a Boston shootout. At the time, it was at the old Boston Garden. They were playing against Marbury. They had a loaded New York team. And I done already watched Marbury barbecue people the whole tournament. And at the time, I'm like, I know Wayne. Wayne's at Beaver at that time, averaging like 40 a game. So I want to see Wayne, from him being in my neighborhood, and Marbury go at it. Marbury, I'll never forget, the ball goes right off the tip ball. Wayne picked them up full court. And as much as I see Marbury just so crazy and crafty with his handles, bringing the ball up like with his back turned on some Bob Cousy shit, I knew right there that Wayne was another animal that people wasn't ready for. So I would never ever discredit or disrespect him by saying that I was better than him, because in my eyes, as far as Mission, we got so many people that was legendary for Mission, but in my eyes, I always say he's the best, because not only did he go crazy and kill everybody, he had 40, and average 40 in high school. He was getting boxed and won and still getting 40s and 50s on people. He played on those loaded Kentucky teams, and he was, I want to say still to this day, the most winningest player in Kentucky history. Wow. Like he went to the Final Four every year.
That's crazy.
And I got a crazy story, right? So when I first got to Detroit, they found that I was from Boston. They found out I was from Mission. And my first conversation with Chauncey Billups, I swear to God, went like this. He was like, "Oh man, you from Mission? You know Wayne Turner?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know Wayne Turner. That's like my big homie." He said they were getting recruited by Georgia Tech together, all three of them, him, Marbury, and Chauncey Billups. The coach at the time called Chauncey Billups and told him, because he's from Colorado, he said he loves everything he's doing basketball-wise, but if Wayne Turner from Boston commits to them and says he wants to play for Georgia Tech, he want to wish him and his family good luck on whatever else he's going to do. Told me that story.
The eye of the beholder, man. That's how it is. The eye of the beholder.
That tell you how legendary Wayne Turner was. So as much as I got confidence in myself saying like I was one of the best, I always tip my hat to him because he was the best.
Shout out to Wayne Turner, yo. We're giving you your flowers too, man. Shout out to Wayne Turner for your amazing career that you had coming out of Mission, yo. Salute. Oh man, Will. Yeah, I mean, we did it, man. You know, we're gonna take a quick break, but we just want to, we just want to thank you, man. Like your journey is dope, and I'm hoping everyone got to tune and got to lock in and just really listen and learn, man. Because you're a Boston hoop legend, man. So we salute you.
Man, we definitely I just appreciate y'all having me on y'all platform, man. I love what y'all doing. I want y'all to keep it up. I hope y'all get a fucking deal to have a to be on the big level, so I can be like, yep, I remember when they was at the bottom, man, and they done rose to the top.
You already know what. We're gonna take a quick break, y'all. So stay tuned for the Talk Your Shit Sports Podcast. We'll be back in 1 minute. We'll keep it short. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Talk Your Shit Sports Podcast. We are back with our special guest, another Boston hoop legend, Will Blaylock. If you haven't already locked in, man, we can't. Will brought us through his whole journey from the start till now, from Mission till now, from the Detroit Pistons till now. So please lock in and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Before we get started, everyone already knows this is Black History Month, and we always gonna salute all the real ones, man. So right now, I got my main man behind me, Charlie Stifford, and for all those who are not who understand golf or know golf, Charlie Stifford was the Tiger Woods before Tiger Woods. He was basically the Jackie Robinson of golf. He's the one that broke into it. He got an invitation from former, world championship boxer Joe Louis, and he was the first person in 1961 to not only enter and play, the first African American to enter and play in the PGA tournament. Over his career, he totaled over 422 tournaments, over 50 top 10 finishes, and 22 professional wins. So I want to give my man Charlie Stifford all his flowers, and we salute you, King, for everything that you're doing in paving the way for African Americans and all young people in the golf world. But Will, let's jump in, man. We just want to give the people a little bit more about some other Boston hoop legends, man, that you played with and played against. So El Ray Taylor and that stacked BNBL team that you played on.
Man, we had a legendary run every summer, and just our core alone was crazy. So I had me, Steve Haley in the backcourt. Our little brother Tony Lee played with us. We had El Ray the Horse, God rest his soul, he was an animal, man. I wish the world got a chance to see him as a grown man, because he treated people in high school and especially on them BNBL, them 1900 teams, like he was a grown man before everyone else. Like he just was the horse. And then we had the grasshopper Corey Boston, who was dunking on everybody, blocking shots. We coming off the bench, we actually had Corey Murphy, who's a rapper now, Prano.
Okay.
if y'all familiar with Prano was playing at Hyde Park at that time. He ended up winning a chip with us, 19 on the BNBL.
Okay.
We had my man Charlie DeLoach on that team, if y'all know Chiz.
Mm-hmm.
My cousin Fats, Terrence Blaylock, played on that team. My man Raj Perry that went to Arlington. He actually led the state in scoring, him and Anthony Drayton. When he was at Arlington, I think Raj was averaging like 27, 28 a game, something like that. So we just had from top to bottom, we just had a stacked team of all dudes that could play at a high level. Like we had like 4 or 5 Division I guys playing on that BNBL team. Like that's unheard of.
Facts.
Yeah, that was like a slaughter team. And to speak on El Ray, because like I said, I went to Charlestown and just seeing El Ray on the court, he was just a bully. He was just a bully. Like he was, and he hustled, because he did everything on the court.
He was a dog. He brought for us. He just brought like the vibe. Like he didn't care if who we played. He was gonna go out there and move them out his way, get bounds, move you out the way, get in ones, like punch his chest, bump you out the way, like on his way to the free throw line. Like he just brought a different bully that no matter how good or bad the team we were playing against, he was always gonna find a way to manhandle the opposition. Like he was on a whole nother level at such a young age. And it's sad that we didn't get the opportunity to play with him as a full-grown man. Like, even though he was a grown man already, so to speak, at Charlestown, I wish, like, when we would start playing in these money tournaments and men's leagues as we got older, he was still around to play with us. It would be crazy.
So right now, when you're watching hoops now, when you're watching ball, the NBA, who are your favorite players? Who are your favorite players growing up, and who are your favorite players now?
My favorite player growing up when I was a kid was Magic Johnson, and
32.
It's a funny story behind that. My mom had told me, I'll never forget, that I'm short now, but when I get older, I'm gonna be like 6'9", like Magic. That was her comment to me in the late '80s, early '90s. So I used to always run around, and I couldn't wait to tell people like, "Yo, I'm just short like this now, but when I get older, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm gonna be 6'9" like Magic, like that." So growing up, he was my favorite player. And I still to this day in '91 when he came out and said he ain't playing ball again, he caught HIV. I still, as a kid, I didn't understand what the hell he was talking about. But I was baffled that he wasn't able to play no more. But when in hindsight now, he's just such a legendary dude as far as the game is concerned. So he'll always be my favorite player of all time. But I do watch and appreciate like the LeBrons, the Kevin Durant's. I watch all those dudes now. But I wouldn't say that I got a clear-cut favorite player like that. Even though I'm still a Laker fan, I want the Lakers to, do it. But I'm really not I can't say like I'm a fan of just one person. Like I kind of like a little bit of everybody.
Way to hold it down, Will. Laker gang all day. Laker gang all day. All right, Will. So you got the KDs, you got the LeBrons, you got the Magic Johnsons, man. Right now, you saw the trade, James Harden over to Brooklyn. LBJ and AD still holding down on the West Coast. Steph Curry's coming along. I mean, I think they're going to make some noise. Denver's going to make some noise. The Clippers and Paul George is looking real good. What's your championship prediction, man? What's going on? Who's coming out the East and who's coming out the West? This is on wax, Will.
I still honestly say if the Greek Freak stays healthy in Milwaukee.
Stop it.
Listen.
Stop it.
It's going to be either them or Philly coming out the East. Reason being,
I got to hear it.
No one in Brooklyn plays defense. They giving up 140 points to teams that ain't really that good.
So
in the playoffs, when the game slows down and they got to play Philly, they don't have an answer for Embiid. When Embiid gets DeAndre Jordan in foul trouble,
Mm-hmm.
and they got to either come off the bench with no one that they can come off the bench with,
Right.
or Kevin Durant is asked to guard Embiid, it ain't going to work.
Cool. He's not going to score 100 points in 6 straight games, 7 straight games.
He's not going to have to, but he is going to get 38 and 15 rebounds, and it's going to be hard for them to win.
Who's guarding Kyrie and who's guarding Harden and who's guarding KD? What's Ben Simmons going to do? He's not shooting threes. You have to keep up.
What's their record right now in the East?
It don't matter.
It does matter.
It don't matter because once I get there, because I see what they're doing. I mean, I see what they're doing. You know what I mean?
I'm not saying that they offense ain't good. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
But James Harden don't guard no one. Kyrie is.
Yeah, we know Kyrie.
I mean, and Kevin Durant ain't a lockdown defender either. So unless they get 2 or 3,
to a degree, he is. But
if they get 2 or 3, he's not a lockdown defender. He's not locking down anyone.
He can play some D. Come on, Will.
That he can't.
Come on.
It's a difference between being able to play defense and locking someone down.
Okay. Yeah.
So he's not. I wouldn't say he's not a bad defender.
Right.
He just pick and chooses when he wants to defend.
Right. I mean, hopefully they make some trades.
And when you're already struggling as a defensive team, it's hard to like say, "Oh yeah, no, Kevin Durant be logging people down." Like, but nobody like who's James Harden gonna guard? They're gonna pick on him.
Yeah, I mean, 150 points was hard to keep up with, man. So you gotta match. I mean, yeah, you got Embiid and these guys, but if Simmons is not knocking down shots,
Simmons ain't a jump shooter though. They ain't his game. But he's also a point guard and he's 6'10". You gonna ask Kyrie to guard him at the one?
It makes a difference. No, good point. Good point.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's different. It's difference between matchups. It's the reason why Denver, them young boys, they play good. They beat Kawhi and them. Not because they can go toe to toe with Kawhi. No, but if Kawhi don't play good and Paul George play the way he play in the playoffs, they ain't gonna beat Denver.
Right.
Same thing with like Brooklyn. Like they struggling and giving up 140 now. If you give up 140 in the playoffs, who you think they're gonna beat giving up 140? Even if all 3 stars get 30, that's only 90 points. Where's the other 30, 40 gonna come from? They don't have no other scorers.
Who you got coming out of the West?
The Lakers.
Okay.
Well,
I mean,
yeah, I could see that happening. I could see that happening.
So I know we run up against time, man. So I know we all saw the Super Bowl yesterday, and we saw, Tom Brady, win his 7th championship. Will, you play professional sports, man. Can you just give the people, just an idea of how hard it is to sustain that type of excellence over that long period of time, and continue to want to continue playing at a high level and winning championships?
Man, that dude that we seen yesterday personifies greatness on every level you could think of. Just to think, right? When you really break down the dynamics, right? Never mind that he got 6 chips here and you was able to see it up front as a New Englander, right?
Right.
This dude left this team here, a franchise that he brought from pretty much the ground up and won 6 chips, played here almost 20 years or whatever, right? Trades to one of the worst franchises in NFL history. Along with that, Gronk comes out of retirement, who Gronk ain't been, he's in decent shape, but he ain't in football shape.
Football shape, right.
This dude was hosting beach parties.
Drinking eggs and shit.
Hey, then you got Antonio Brown, who everybody thinks is a head case.
I'm so happy for that dude, man. So happy for that dude, yo.
You haven't really seen him star and catch a ball since the Steelers, right?
Right.
So happy for that dude.
No one wanted him, right? And then you got Leonard Fournette, who the Jaguars cut, even though he just had like 1,100 yards in like 2019 for
First round pick in 2017. Crazy.
Yeah, like he was killing for them. They cut him, meaning like no one wanted him either. And then Tom Brady goes over there and make these dudes look like they've been doing it the whole time. Like he just personifies greatness, and he will probably go down as the greatest winner in sports history, not just football, like in any sport.
Arguably. Whoa.
Are you gonna
Arguably.
I don't even know if it's a debate.
Yeah,
Are you putting him over
MJ?
MJ? Are you putting him over MJ?
He's 43 years old, and he beat on the way to the chip all guys that were
Hall of Famers. Hall of Famers and future
not only Hall of Famers, but they were all MVPs in their own right. Aaron Rodgers and Pat Mahomes, all those dudes were Super Bowl MVPs, regular season MVPs, and he made all of them like.
I give you that. He's like the senior guy, but he made all of them look like, you know, they ain't even on his level at all. I give you that, but let's not forget.
He can't say but though.
I can't say but. Here's why. Hear me out. Right. Won the first 3 championships. Cool. From 2000, 2004, won 3 out of 4 championships. Cool. Jordan won his first 3 championships, retired, took a season off, came back, boom, got it back popping 3 more times. Your man Brady had to wait 10 years from 2004 to 2014 to get back to win another Super Bowl, because he got back to 2 more and the Giants, you know, whooped that ass. But he had to wait 10 years. So like that's to me, if we're gonna talk about the greatest athlete arguably of all time, I have to put that button there just for that. Like, it took you 10 years, my guy, in between championships.
Right. All right. So how many years Mike Jordan played in the NBA before he got to a chip?
8.
Right.
8. I'll give you that.
Yeah,
also,
I already know he started in the 80s with Bird and them was waxing that ass. Bird,
the Celtics, in Detroit.
He didn't. Don't make it seem like he just came right in and was just winning all these chips.
Oh no, I argue that all the time. I know that.
He was getting his ass whooped too. But for a guy that went to, if you look at the last 20 years, and I tell you, for the last 20 years, there's one guy that's playing right now that played in 50% of the Super Bowls for the last 20 years. How could you even argue that?
Right.
The last 20 years, I didn't say like 4 or 5. The last 20 years, he played in 50% of the Super Bowls.
Right.
When MJ went to the Wizards.
And he won at a 70% level. He won 7 of them.
Right. When MJ went to the Wizards, did he bring him to the NBA Finals, or what happened there?
They didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah.
Trash. Yeah, the Wizards were trash.
Yeah. So that argument done.
Right. He just
argument done.
Like I said earlier, man, he gonna go down as he's gonna personify greatness at every level, but also the illest winner, no matter what sport, regardless of sport. I just told you he won 6 chips here and left and went to one of the worst franchises in NFL history with guys that were sought after. Like, people didn't want them, and a dude and a tight end that was hosting beach parties and won a chip.
Gronk,
like,
baby.
You know what I'm saying? Like, he didn't have Tyreek Hill. He wasn't throwing to Travis Kelce. He's throwing to guys that like were sought after, and nobody didn't want AB.
Right.
It's not that they didn't want him. Whoa.
Nah, they consider him a cancer.
It's not that they didn't want him. He was just wilding, bro. He was.
Gave him all that money, and they were like, they all set.
He was wilding. He was on. Come on, man. The dude's behavior was just off the chain. Like, come on, man. Like, we're trying to just like you said earlier. Just how you said earlier in the beginning. I was like, yo, like, you couldn't. Like, no young boy could come on the Detroit Pistons and like start acting crazy because like they was like policing that. Nobody was policing AB. Like, yo, come on, young boy, chill out with all that social media bullshit.
I know a guy that policed it. He threw the ball to him the other day for a touchdown. Did you watch that?
Brady policed it. Man, I know we only got a few more minutes, man. But Will, man, you know, we like to close out our episodes with inspirational, man. We just want to. I know you want to leave, you know, young kids coming out from Mission or just like anywhere across Boston with some like inspirational, like a gym. Me, like, we're all just gonna go around and just give something that we want to leave for the people, man. So, P, you want to start us off?
He was breaking out there.
Yeah,
P,
breaking up.
Oh, my bad, my bad. You want to start us off with an inspirational? I'm saying we always want to leave the people with a little something to take home.
I would say for the young boys growing up, whether they're in Mission Hill or Amsterdam, man, like if you really want something as far as sports is concerned and competing at a high level, there's opportunities for everyone, but everyone's not gonna be like Kevin Durant and LeBron. Those dudes are like once in a generation type guys. But if you want to work hard and the little stuff will get you there. The 50-50 balls, diving on the floor, taking charges, working hard in practice, being the first one there, the last one to leave. That goes a lot further than you trying to mimic Steph Curry and shooting from half court. Like, there's way more people that work hard and are undersized, and they might not shoot as good as Steph, but they're going to take charges. You know, they're going to be just good players, like good locker room guys. There's always room on every single team for people like that. So for the young boys listening, if y'all keep that in mind, we're working hard and doing the right thing as a person, listening to your family members, listening to the positive people in your life, there's a lot more opportunity for you by doing the small things rather than trying to be the next LeBron or be the next KD.
Yeah, that's
Super
dope.
lit. What you got for him, P?
Now, what I got, my motivational quote is, I'm not a product of my circumstances. I'm a product of my decisions. So just making the right decisions in life, aligning yourself with the right people, like Will said, and listening to the right people, and just hoping that you make that right decision in life is going to, take you, a long way.
Absolutely.
Super lit, super lit. And what I want to leave, the people with, man, is you are who you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with the wrong crowd, then, most likely you're going to get the opportunity to do the wrong thing or get caught up in the wrong situation. But you surround yourself with like-minded people who are really trying to get after it and be successful, and really move up the ranks and really get out of whatever situation that they're in. Those are the people that you want to surround yourself around with good work ethic, with good character, and just in that willingness to grind and win. Because as you guys see, Will's shirt, I'm saying, we win on this side, on all sides. We win on this side. We want to shout out T. Lee. We want to shout out Will for really coming on and locking in with us and really giving us, all this exclusive content and just giving us a look into his life and his journey. I mean, all sports journeys matter. Will, your journey matters. You're an inspiration to the Boston community, all the Boston Hoopers, all the kids from Mission, all the kids from any project around here in Boston, in the Boston area. You are an inspiration, man, and you really matter, man. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing your blueprint, your journey, and really locking in with us, man. But I definitely want to end. Everyone, please go subscribe to the Talk Your Shit Sports Podcast YouTube channel where you can catch this episode. Follow us on IG at the Talk Your Shit Sports Podcast on IG, Talk Your Ish on Facebook. Follow us, subscribe, tell a friend, come pull up. Will, one last thing before we go, we always ask our guests, can you recommend another guest to come on the show? So we're going to give you some time to think about that, but think of someone you want to come on the show and share their journey. We definitely want to uplift them and share with the people what it is, man. But we thank everyone, all the fans from around the world, man. Thank you for locking in. We appreciate it, and we'll just see you next week.
Yes, sir.
And we out.
Man, I appreciate y'all having me, man. I would say the one person that I would love to see on this would be my best friend growing up, who I would say we were the same age, but I feel like he was like my think tank, whether it was high school, whether it was AAU, whether it was college. He went to Worcester Academy. He got a scholarship to play at BC. Unfortunately, he didn't have the accolades that I had to push him forward to play in the NBA. But his mindset and his skill set and just his overall knowledge of the game is the reason why he's teaching kids the game now as far as in the AAU level and doing it at a high level. And I would love to see him come on here and talk his
shit.
Yeah, he's from He Street. He's from the Boston area. He was probably one of the best that ever come out that neighborhood. When he went to Worcester Academy, he played in the backcourt with Jared Jack, who played in the NBA for a bunch of years. He's probably the reason why Jared Dudley went to BC. Steve Haley.
Let's get it, Steve. Be on the lookout for a call, text, email from us.
He's a legend.
DM.
He's a legend in his own right, and in our era, he was absolutely one of the best. Ball handling, and breaking people down and manipulating situations. He was like a wizard with it.
You guys have heard it here first at the Talk Your Shit Sports Podcast. Stay tuned, and we out.